What's up, guys? RyHo here, and I'm finally doing it. I've been doing this YouTube thing, I guess, sincerely since 2008, although I've been on here since 2006, at least, with an account. Um, and in that time, since I got into the whole movie scene here, and especially the whole horror movie scene, I've been asked, I don't know how many times, to talk about the Halloween movies. And I think the reason I haven't done it to date is because uh, I would imagine that this has to be the most reviewed, talked about movie on YouTube, probably, because I think genre fans of movies are the kinds of people that would come on to, say, YouTube and make a video about it, or go onto a blog and write about it, or go to a website and write about it, or, all sorts of things, podcast it, all that. And invariably, this movie's going to come up, and I just feel like it's all going to be the same thing. So I for the longest time I was just like, why even really bother making a video? You can go watch really great videos by a lot of other YouTubers on the same topic, and they're basically all going to be exactly the same, and they're going to be gushing about this movie, and rightly so. But I thought, what the hell? It's Halloween, and I'm watching these on Blu-ray now. For the first time, actually. I've had this movie for a while, and I just never watched it on Blu-ray. So recently I gave it a watch, and I thought, it's about time, I guess, I make these videos, bite the bullet. So I'll very, very briefly, get through the meat of this. Of course, written and directed by John Carpenter, co-written by Deborah Hill, and produced by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Basically, this was the first big movie from John Carpenter. It came out in 1978, and the story, very quickly again, it's supposed to be 15 years prior to that, 63. A young boy brutally kills his sister and basically goes into this strange catatonic state. Flash forward to 15 years later, his doctor, Dr. Sam Loomis, played by Donald Pleasance, is trying to move him into a higher security facility or something like that. He's been in a sanitarium his whole life. But by this point, Dr. Loomis is sure that there's something. He thinks that Michael's evil, that there's something really wrong with him. So he's trying to move him into this facility. Of course, Michael breaks out on that particular night, the night before Halloween, and Dr. Loomis is sure he's heading back to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, where he had killed his sister 15 years earlier. So he starts to head there. And then flash forward to the Halloween day, and you have these teenagers. Jamie Lee Curtis's breakout role is here as Laurie Strode. It's her and her friends. They're trying to have a good Halloween. They're having fun. She's babysitting. A couple of them are partying, things like that. All the while, they have no idea that they're being stalked by Haddonfield's most famous masked killer, Michael Myers. Right off the hop, I think, aside from the great visuals in the movie, it's very well put together, very eerie. In the movie, Michael Myers is actually the character, the creature, if you will, is credited as the Shape. And Nick Castle, I think, is supposed to be the main person that played him, although I think a lot of people played the Shape in the movie, and it's rightfully put that way. I think it's really cool that they did that, because he really is sort of this scary, almost just an image within himself. You see him in the background of a lot of locations. He's lurking, he's watching, he's building tension the whole time. And when he starts to actually do things, this movie's not actually all that gruesome at all, but it's just scary because of that build up. I think they did just an amazing job of that. The score amplifies that tenfold. The music in this has to be like the most iconic horror theme ever. John Carpenter himself did the music, because he does with just about all of his films. He just did an amazing job with the theme of this movie. It's very simple, very eerie, works out amazingly. The score itself, he's great at laying some awesome stings down when scary stuff happens. He builds atmosphere with his, I always call it industrial, but the idea I'm trying to get across is it's atmospheric. It's sometimes it's just tones and sounds, but it just builds things really well. Very synth driven, as that would be his instrument of choice, I guess, when he made his soundtracks. And of course, overall, it's basically lauded as the greatest slasher of all time. There were films before it, but basically it's credited as really kicking off the slasher craze. It's sort of like the daddy of them all. Of course, there was Psycho before that, and I think Black Christmas came out before this and stuff like that. But this one really kicked off the craze. It did well. It was an indie film, made a lot of money. All of a sudden, studios all over wanted to make their own version, which is why you have films like Friday the 13th and The Burning, things like that. The slasher craze really kicked off with this movie. And I've just told you everything you already know about it. It's awesome. Lauded as the best. Basically created every trope that you've ever seen in a slasher film that's in here. Some of the stuff was already done in Black Christmas, we'll say, and maybe Psycho, but a lot of it was really, like The Masked Killer, for instance. Well, I guess Leatherface was before this too. But in a way, whatever you say about it, it really did kick everything off in a way. And, that's really all I have to say about it. That's good. Just to play devil's advocate, I thought I would talk about a few things that I think are kind of not so great about the movie, and it's really just because every other video you're going to watch about this is going to be people talking about how awesome it is, and that's because it is awesome. So I thought, for a change, I would maybe talk about a few things that, maybe most people don't point out. The number one thing that always gets to me is I know that Dr. Loomis has spent like 15 years with Michael, and he even says, I spent 8 years trying to rehabilitate him, 7 years trying to lock him away, because he's so sure that he's evil. But people give the guy a lot of leeway in that sense. Michael breaks loose, and yes, he has killed someone 15 years before that, but he's been in basically a catatonic state since. The idea that he's been laying in wait, that one day he was going to break out and just go and kill a bunch of people, I think a lot of people would find that pretty, implausible. And you get that sense when Loomis is talking to some other doctor in the film, and he's sure he's heading to Haddonfield. He follows him there. Along the way, he finds some clues that he thinks Michael might be afoot. But the strange thing about the movie is that when he gets there, he really doesn't see anything. He has no idea that Michael's out killing anyone. He thinks he is. He feels pretty strongly about it because he's a little bit kooky, which is great. Donald Pleasance does an amazing job of playing him in this movie. But he basically he goes to Michael's old house, kind of stands around it for a couple hours. They do find a dead dog there, so I guess that might be he says something like, "Oh, he got hungry." But when he finally does track Michael down, because really he notices the car and he goes and he sees the kids running out of the house screaming. But it is Halloween, so you gotta weigh that a little bit. They could just be out, running around screaming. He goes to the house, and he does see Lori there. She's definitely beat up, and Michael's definitely going for her. But he doesn't even try to talk to him at all. He just starts shooting. He blows him away. And I always thought it was so funny that he's so sure. What if Michael was just going to, I don't know, to see her. He was misunderstood. I don't know. There's things there. I mean, I guess it's to move the plot of the movie forward and being a dumbass, a jackass sitting in his house on a webcam talking about a movie. But for some reason, whenever I watch the movie, I just always think of that. Just something that stands out to me. It's not really a bad thing, but I just thought I'd point it out. Another thing is, I don't understand why Sheriff Brackett does whatever the hell Loomis tells him. I know he's the doctor of Michael Myers, and it's probably a bad thing that Michael Myers is on the loose. There's a chance he's in the town. I get all that, but you think that he would be like, all right, I got this. I'm a sheriff. I know what to do here. I'll get my men. We'll do it. We'll canvass the area. We'll find them. But for some reason, Loomis tells him to jump, and he says, "How high?" The whole movie. If he says he just barks orders at him all the time. You go here. And Sheriff Brackett is just like, "Yes, sir, Dr. Loomis," and he just goes all the time. And I don't understand that. Again, I guess it's just to move the movie forward or whatever. The police are out looking for him, but they just aren't finding him. Whatever. I don't know. I just always found that kind of strange. But anyway, and the final thing. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, guys. Don't give me any shit. It's just for fun. I love this movie just as much as anyone else. Although this isn't my favorite Carpenter movie. I think I might have mentioned that before, but The Thing is my favorite Carpenter movie. But anyway, it's the girls in the movie. Whenever, and I'm not going to talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween today anyway. Whenever anybody talks about that movie, though, one of the things that they always get into about is how poorly written the girls are and how annoying they are in the movie, and they are. But you have to admit, I don't know, maybe it's just me watching this movie. The girls in this movie, It's like somebody taking their fingers down a chalkboard sometimes. They are so over the top, overacted. They say, like, I know it's the way they're written. Like, one of them, it's kind of a thing to say totally. PJ Souls' character. Um, I just find her so annoying. I find them both so annoying. Sheriff Brackett's daughter in the movie and PJ Souls' character. I can't think of their names right now in the movie. They drive me up the wall. I find them just as annoying as the girls in Rob Zombies probably. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. No one really ever. I've never seen anybody mention that. That they kind of just it never comes up. But I just personally found Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode, just puts them like to shame. She's such a better actress and does such a better job. And they're so deplorable in the movie. But like Laurie, and you have to admit about this about this movie is that Laurie really. People always, they always talk about. Yeah, again, this is being the archetype of slashers. When people talk about slasher movies, they talk about why did she, run in the closet when she should have went out the front door, things like that. That kind of thing always comes up. And it is definitely a plot device used in a lot of these movies. But in this one, you have to almost think that Laurie does all the right things. She goes to check on her friend when her friend just could be gagging her. She finds out Michael's on the loose. She tries to get help. People don't help her because it's Halloween night. They think she's out pranking them. And she runs to help the kids that she's babysitting. That's the first thing she does, She just goes and she tries to protect them. At one point she thinks she kills Michael. She goes up to tell the kids to get out of there. Realizes he's still alive. She's like, hide. The reason she goes in the closet to begin with is because she's sort of like pincered by him. He's coming up the way, so she opens the doors to the window and kind of pretends she went out the window and hides in the closet. And then when he gets there, she doesn't just sit there and scream. She grabs a coat hanger and she stabs the motherfucker. You know what I mean? And she's already done that. She's already stood up for herself. She's already fought back. And she gets the knife from him, and I can't be ruining the movie for you because you had to have seen this at this point. I'm sorry, the statute of limitations has got to be dead on this one. But I guess what I'm saying is, I just feel like she does all the right things. She's actually a really good person and a good character, and I don't know. I just think that a lot of people always say, "Oh, why didn't they go out the front door? They're doing stupid things." She doesn't do stupid things in this movie. So she's sort of, I guess, she's juxtaposed against her awful friends who just want to go drink out and hook up with boys and stuff like that. But I just found them very annoying. I guess that was the point I was trying to get at. And again, I was just playing devil's advocate a little, guys, not to talk smack about the daddy of all the slasher movies, easily the most lauded, one of the most lauded horror movies of all time, Halloween, John Carpenter, 1978. If you haven't seen it, you can get this Blu-ray. I think I got this for $10. Usually runs for $20. You can get it on sales and stuff like that. If you're not into Blu-ray, it's got like a million releases. It's got every DVD release you can imagine, from bare bones to all kinds of features, VHS releases up the yin yang, all that stuff. You can't not see this movie. It'll probably be on TV over the next couple of weeks and on Netflix easily. So you should probably check it out. It's definitely a Halloween watch every year.